Greetings, fellow Fordians. So we are all packed up and ready to head back to Oregon, Wisconsin, which was the site of a winged humanoid encounter 1 year ago today, actually. It was November 26th, 2020, when two young women from that little town were out and about, and they encountered what they described later as a winged humanoid while out cruising around outside of Oregon. So now, if you're not familiar with that case, we will put a link to the article that we wrote about it in the description of this video. So I do encourage you to check that out if you haven't. And then if you haven't watched the videos that we've done about our excursions out there, then I encourage you to do so as well, because one of the main things that we're going to be doing tonight is going back to see if the same audio interference that we encountered the first two trips out there, which were pretty close together, if that occurs tonight as well. And of course, we want to do it on the 1 year anniversary to see if there's some sort of connection with the particular time of year. So, you know, and if you can hear that, we have our dogs with us. One, because it's kind of a pain to leave them at home if we're just going out for something like this. And two, you know, dogs have very keen senses. So I think if there's anything unusual, we might get a reaction from them as well. One other piece of equipment, other than our recording stuff and a couple other things that we brought that I think might be of interest, is I want to bring this K2 meter. And so the reason for that is, what I want to do is, like you can see, it's on green here, so it's not really detecting particularly high frequency EMF currently. But what I want to do is have this sort of on the center console between us, and when I set it down there, now you can't see it, but it's still on green. And so if we travel through a particularly high frequency EMF, then I want to know about it. And so this thing, it's not particularly fine-tuned in terms of giving us an exact reading, but I don't need it for that. What I want to know is if we're traveling, you know, through something like that. And so I think it'll work really well for that purpose. And I think it will help us, you know, learn if there is something particularly unusual, like a very strong EMF in that area. So, and if you haven't watched our video on electromagnetic fields, I do encourage you to check that out in Parapsychology Corner, which is listed in the, it was published in the Magic and Parapsychological group. And of course, do your own research on stuff like that. And if you do, tell us about it, because I personally love talking about it. So that said, I think we're ready to head out.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Okay, so here we are turning onto the road that will lead to the intersection where the initial sighting was. Honestly, surprisingly for this road, there are a couple of cars out here. That is unusual. That has not been our experience, although I think when we get through this little neighborhood here, we get up to the actual intersection, there probably won't be, shouldn't be. There really isn't a lot of reason for anybody to be out here if you don't live here. So you'd think, especially today being Black Friday, that people will probably be home. If they are gone, they'll be, you know, in one of the cities. But I wouldn't expect people are up to a whole heck of a lot right now. Now you might be able to hear our radio a little bit in the background. Normally I wouldn't have it on, but similarly to the first couple of times we came out here, I wanted to leave it on just because the witnesses did report a disturbance with their radio. So here we go. This is the intersection where the initial sighting took place. I'm not reading any unusual EMF activity.
We had a little bit of like yellow back there.
substance. Alright, so here's what we're going to do, just like last time. Find a place to turn around, and we're going to go through the intersection again. Now, once I turn around and I get going back the other way, that will actually be the way that the witnesses were going. Is this a little park here?
Looks like it. It's a wildlife area.
Huh, Hook Lake Wildlife Area.
Good to know.
Yeah, what do you know? Okay. That is very good to know. So we will bear in mind that this is here for us to turn around in if necessary. Excuse me, and to park in if that is necessary. I'm going to wait for this car. It's only about 8:20 right now, which isn't terribly late. It might as well be midnight here in Wisconsin because it gets dark out so early. Excuse me. But it is, as you can tell, for 8 p.m. on a Friday, it's pretty desolate out here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, again, the EMF reader is not picking up any unusual activity here whatsoever. The radio is still fine.
I'll be curious to see if we get any that weird noise after the fact.
Right, and that's what happened originally, of course.
Both times.
Right, is that we picked up audio interference that we didn't know was happening at the time, but showed up on all of our recording devices after the fact. So make sure that you are recording with video when we go through that intersection, okay? Turn around, we'll do one more pass. Go to the wildlife area. And then we can do one more going the other way. Okay. But we do need this recorded on multiple devices.
Just in case.
Yes. Obviously, ideally, a winged humanoid or something would swoop down right about now, but I don't know that we're going to get that lucky. Yeah, if you want to show that the K2 meter is still, it's still green, having gone through that intersection.
Yeah.
So definitely not recording anything unusual there. Really glad I know this is here now.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's trails or anything back in there. It's hard to tell.
It might just be land.
There's somebody's house over there.
Yeah.
They probably get super creeped out when people just come driving into this wildlife area at nighttime. I would if I lived over there. They're like, what are you people doing over there?
I think this is probably used for like birding and stuff.
Let's go take a look. What is it used for here? Open for hunting, not surprising. Hiking, trapping, fishing, cross-country skiing, wildlife viewing, and other foot travel. Ooh, no horseback riding. Sorry, Emily. Motor vehicles, camping, or biking. Dogs must be leashed. That's fine. Oh, and that makes sense. Dogs basically need to be on leash if you're not hunting. Mm-hmm. So when it's not hunting season. Interesting. Okay, well. There's actually a public hunting ground by where we live as well. I think that's mostly for fowl, though.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. One more time. Fingers crossed for Mothman. Okay, well, Jadzia didn't like something. She just parked there. What?
The thing went off.
At the same time she parked?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. To like middle of the thing.
That was like right across from that wildlife area, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we should turn around and do it again.
Yeah, good call. So I can turn around at this intersection here. There's no traffic coming either way. So what I'm going to do, I don't know how legal this is. I'm just going to do this and spin around here so we can go back.
And see if this.
Yes, so let's just cruise back to the wildlife area. You keep your eyes on that K2 as well,
Yeah.
see if it blips again. So that could have been nothing, could have been something. What's interesting about that though is I believe that is the field
That they saw it.
where one
It's going.
Where one of the witnesses previously said that she had seen something standing at one point. So, and that would have been, I mean, that was basically right across from where we are right now, is where the thing blipped. It would have been, what, 10, 15 yards
Yeah.
down the road, but not too far. I mean, I don't see anything unusual out here.
I don't either.
All right, I'm going to get out and take a look
Okay.
and just see if there's anything to be seen.
Okay.
I'm going to take this with me. You can hang tight. I will be right back. Well, nothing doing. I didn't see anything that's unusual. I say, you know, we're going to have to go past that spot again as we head out of here. So let's just keep our eyes peeled, see if we, get any other hits as we go past. But otherwise, could have been a coincidence. I don't know. All right, let's check it out. This will probably be our last pass too, because I'm pretty sure these people are going to call the police if we just keep cruising back and forth in front of their house.
Darn kids.
Right? Yeah, watch that K2. See if it does anything. Let's head back and review this obviously from our third trip to the Oregon, Wisconsin winged humanoid sighting location. And, honestly, for me, this trip was most interesting, not in what was present, but in what wasn't. So, if you'll remember, on our first two trips out there, we encountered this weird audio interference. So it was especially strong on our first trip out, and then seemed to fade and was significantly quieter on the second trip. Now, on that second trip as well, we did make sure to look for anything that might be generating in EMF that might cause that kind of interference. So, we were looking for ham radio towers and large satellite dishes, electrical transformers, that kind of thing. And we couldn't find anything, which now makes a certain amount of sense, because on this third trip out, there wasn't any audio interference. After having come home and looked at all of that footage that we recorded, there wasn't anything, which is interesting. So, you go from having this large amount of interference close to the reported event, or close chronologically to the event, so just afterward, and then that interference becoming more subdued as time goes on, to the point where 1 year later to the day, actually, it's gone completely. So, that to me, it just for the sake of speculation, the first thing that comes to mind is something like a portal or a window or something that had been open for a short period, then closing, and possibly being completely closed, or at least closed to the point where some of the other associated phenomena, with it being open would no longer be detectable. There was one interesting event, though, on this latest trip, and it was something I didn't really see because I was driving. So as I'm driving along, trying to sort of replicate the witness's experience like we do, I noticed that Jadzia in the back seat was focused on this field, the same field, in fact, where one of the witnesses said that she had seen this large, bulky figure with red eyes. And so Jadzia is paying attention to this field, and then she barks at it, and I say something like, oh, something's got Jadzia's attention or whatever. But then you saw something.
Yeah, so I was kind of recording with my phone just to kind of have a control in terms of like, would I hear audio interference on my camera, because we had the camera on the dash and then mine, just so we had something to compare. But I was also keeping an eye on the K2 meter, and at the same time Jadzia barked, I noticed it start to flash. And at the time I thought it only went to like the middle of the spectrum, so like orange. And I managed to put as you saw in the video, I managed to get my phone on it because I noticed it. And I must have been like looking out at the road or something, because after the fact, when I reviewed the footage, it actually went all the way to red. So like the most intense end of that spectrum on the meter, like the red LED, it goes from like green LED all the way up to red LED, and it went all the way to the right. It was quick, but it did actually do that, which I thought was interesting. Now we turned back around and tried to do it again to see if it would go off again, but it didn't.
And neither of the dogs seem to care about that area again. So could be a total coincidence. Of course, we have to consider that possibility. But I did find it very interesting, the timing and location of those particular events, given the eyewitness testimony.
Right.
So definitely a very interesting trip out. I think that we've learned some valuable information as a result of following up on this, and as always, we'll see where it goes from here. Probably, while we may head back out there, certainly without a new sighting, I probably won't be as motivated to go out. Although with the Jadzia paying attention to that specific field, with the EMF reading as well, that might indicate something is still there. So it could be worth our time, when we're able to go out there again, to maybe just stake out that area for some time and see if anything happens. But again, without the audio interference, I think I should say I would be more motivated to get back out there if the audio interference had also been there, or if we receive any new sightings from that area.
Right.
Because we do have to kind of portion out our attention, and sort of triage these investigations as they come in. So this one seems to be relatively dormant.
Yeah.
I would say, compared to other things. So we'll just see how it goes.
Right. So until next time, stay weird.
All right, keep it weird, everybody.